we began soldering the 12's battery series wires. Apply solder to the silicone wires to facilitate soldering. To prevent pin displacement caused by soldering, we soldered the XT90 male and female connectors together. Remember to use protective sleeves and heat shrink tubing. First, tin the terminals, then solder the black wire to the negative terminal, paying attention to the markings. I am using lead-free solder and the soldering iron. Temperature is 400. You can add some solder to ensure the solder joint is full, smooth, and has a metallic luster. Next, weld the series wires. Put on the heat shrink tubing and sheath and set it aside for later use. Next, take another XT90 male connector and plug it into the female connector to prevent the solder pins from becoming loose. Thread the red wire through the sheath and heat shrink tubing, and solder it to the positive terminal of the XT90. Take out the spare wire, thread on the sheath and heat shrink tubing, and solder them together. After blowing the heat shrink tubing and attaching the protective sleeve, a connecting cable is complete. Check the positive and negative polarity sequence to ensure it is correct. A total of 2 series wires are required. Next, we will weld the high current connectors on the aircraft fuselage. The left and right airspeed meters occupy 2 connectors. The white signal wire is designated for the front motor, the black for the rear motor, and the other 3 signal wires are connected to the aileron servo. Twist the silicone wire a few times first to prevent it from loosening. Tin the silicone wire terminals to facilitate subsequent soldering. Clamp one end with a small vise to secure the connector firmly, and prevent it from shifting during soldering. The connector pins are marked with numbers. Define the airspeed line sequence, 1 black to white, 3 yellow for red. Solder the terminals. Put on the heat shrink tubing, and connect pin 1 to the black wire. Connect pin 2 to white wire. Turn the connector over and secure it. Connect pin 3 to the yellow wire. Connect the 4 pins to the red wire. Define power supply wire A1 to the negative terminal of the black wire and A2 to the positive terminal of the red wire. Solder A2 positive terminal to red silicone wire. Solder the A2 terminal. Tin the A1 terminal and solder the black silicone wire. After soldering the connectors, repeated checks revealed no solder bridging. The other set was then soldered using the same method. Take out another set of connectors. Connect wire 1 to the ESC white wire, wire 2 to the ESC black wire, wire 3 to the servo white wire, wire 4 to the servo red wire, and wire 5 to the servo black wire. Solder the terminals. Connector 1 to the white ESC wire. Connector 2 to the ESC black wire. Flip the connector and secure it tightly. Solder the terminals. Connector 3 to the servo white wire. Connector 4 to the servo red wire. Connector 5 connects to the servo black wire. Connect a 2 to the red power cord. Connect a 1 to the black power cord. Solder another set, and finally blow heat shrink tubing onto it. At this point, the soldering of the 4 connectors on the fuselage is complete. Next, solder the wing connectors, which are male. The airspeed indicator on the wing is longer than that on the fuselage, so tin the wires first. Solder the terminals and cover them with heat shrink tubing. 1 connects to black, 2 connects to white. Flip connector. Solder the terminals. 3 connects to yellow, 4 connects to red. Solder the power cord terminals. A 1 connected to the negative black wire. A 2 connected to the positive red wire. Pair it with the previous connector to check that the wire sequence matches. Solder another set of connectors and tin the terminals. Put on the heat shrink tubing, connect 1 to ESC white, and 2 to ESC black. Flip the connector over and then tighten it. Put on heat shrink tubing. Connect 3 to the white servo wire, 4 to the red servo wire, and 5 to the black servo wire. A 1 is connected to the negative terminal black wire. A 2 is connected to the positive red wire. After soldering, check the wiring sequence. 4 sets of wing connectors were soldered, and then heat shrink tubing was applied. Finally, double-check all connectors to ensure that the wiring sequence matches perfectly.